It's the killer!
What happened? Who are you?
It's all right, sir. You're safe now.
Oh, a fellow Englishman. Thank you, sir. For a moment, I thought those bloody heathens had killed me.
What are you doing here? This place is not safe.
Yeah, it's a cesspool, but it's mine. I came to collect some overdue rent, but those who still live here have gone completely bonkers.
You're very lucky to be alive.
Yeah, filthy immigrants. Fucking savages, every one of them. And now with this bloody fever, they're just animals.
You can find safety of sorts in Whitechapel. If you're quick and cautious, you'll be able to avoid the savages. This is Braille. I need someone who can read this.
thirst for blood. This is despicable.
There's more and more of these bloody leeches every... There's one of fucking beast!
on your way out. It's a leech! That leech is fast!
Whitechapel. This neighborhood is linked somehow to the kind Lady Ashbury's blackmail. First, let's find this Petrescu fellow. Are you all right?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
I found the recruiter you were expecting. He's dead, but he carried a note. The Wet Boot Boys have accepted your application.
I knew it! I told you I was tough enough. I'll be free soon.
This note was found on a dead man, Albert. If that doesn't change your mind, then you must be ready to face the risks.
You're all fancy words, none of which concern me. Go worry about someone else. I'm fine and I have a future here.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything. It ain't me.
Medication and drugs are a rare commodity in East London. So you picked an easy target, didn't you?
Sod off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? If you know anything about her, I'd appreciate it.
Never heard of her. If she's pretty, I'll keep an eye out.
Goodbye, young man.
I'll not die in some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Suffering.
What? Shooting a boy in the middle of a street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Have you heard anything?
It's funny, I've been searching for her too. I need some pills. But the woman is a phantom, if you ask me.
Really? And why is that?
Word is she ain't real. She's a cover for some doctor who runs an illegal dispensary for migrants.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live. This is where I live now.
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. Now I'm just Ben. Ben the Tramp.
You don't have anywhere to go? No family that would welcome you?
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick, you see. Long before the flu and all this shit.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just faked me last nerve.
What is it, Benjamin? It was the war, wasn't it? Your nerves are shot, aren't they? I need some answers, Private. From one soldier to another.
The doctors called me a liar. A coward. Put me in a straitjacket, locked me up. Finally, they sent me back to the front lines with a handful of tablets.
Yes. Sounds like shell shock. I've seen a few cases like yours. This is nothing you should be ashamed of, Benjamin. And it's perfectly natural in your situation.
I'm not ashamed. I just need my pills. Peace and quiet, that's all.
You don't seem well, Benjamin. Do you need any help?
I always feel ill, sir. It's like I'm never right.
I will see you later. A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
Not me. The wet boots will be proud of me.
This is despicable.
Swanborough cordial community answer to all the money.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
Good evening.
Do you know Nurse...
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough. Perhaps we'll talk again.
The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems. As long as you have the money. When science fails you, this elixir will give you faith again.
call, Baron. Okay, one way or another. Please.
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way. Even my dreams are soaked with glue.
It's locked.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like... well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
This place is awful, I agree. But does that not mean your situation can only improve?
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Would it ease intentions with your father if he got an honest job? Because he tried, you know.
I can't say. I'd be glad if he dropped his thuggish activities, but I'm not sure it would be enough.
Why is that?
Sometimes I suspect it's me, Dr. Reed. Or it's this life. It's like I can't find my place.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
I know it's hard to believe, but this district has always been wretched. Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Have you heard of a
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? I always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Yes, she's a nurse, and quite a good one. What did she do to gain such notoriety?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Right then. Show me what you have.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid. Cheap price, good quality. I should never have taken up my father's business.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
You survive at any cost, even at the expense of others. Perhaps that's just the law of nature.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Why do you keep on working for the gang, Joe? You know it doesn't suit you.
It's true, I hate this job. And I know I made some bad choices, but I'm a wet boot boy now. And people won't forget it.
You could leave tomorrow. Start another life in another town.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. We are poor. My son's weak, and there's no way he'll endure another disappointment.
Have you heard of a nurse named
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Pay me a bottle, and I'll be there. Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling, but I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor, Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick, though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London. and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can. Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, Go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
So you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I must confess, some of my rational views have been shaken by recent events.
I'll remember to stay away from the district's roughest streets then.
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. Very well. Goodbye, then.
Leech spotted! Stop!
This man stunned me with his faith. His crucifix. This is not good news. Are you all right, miss?
I don't know. Who were those people? They wanted to kill me. Why?
They've lost their minds in the epidemic. They won't come back for now.
You seem to know a lot about them, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm investigating this disease.
I am Xiaoxun. Thank you so much for helping me, Mr. Reed. I must go to the cemetery now. Goodbye.
Carnage. Is Father Whitaker's disciple among the bodies, I wonder? This man's far too old to be Samuel. No. By the look of his clothes, this man's a docker. Samuel isn't here. I had better follow the blood trail. As I feared, Samuel no longer preaches the good word. locked, all right.
There's one of them.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I...
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
I'm
Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good manners. Thank you, sir.
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Why this skepticism?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry? Or about poverty? Or anything else you have never suffered from?
Goodbye, miss. Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
Why did you send...
I sent him on a...
You sent a man to die because of a stupid vision. I have heard enough of your nonsense. Goodbye. Good evening, Mr.
His father would...
What do you mean?
Also...
Quite a judge...
You are...
I am. What do you mean?
Also...
Quite a judge...
You...
Well...
As a dog...
What do you mean?
The beast...
I have... Good evening.
It's...
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer, exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself. The proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
I have heard enough for tonight.
Soon the time will come when you will all be judged for your sins. Even now,
I cannot enter.
As long as you have the money.
Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reed.
You don't seem well, Benjamin. Do you need any help?
I always feel ill, sir. It's like I'm never right.
I can try to help your body heal, sir. But you must stop destroying it.
The war destroyed me, Doctor.
A gun, alcohol. How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, all right? Now piss off.
Do you need assistance?
Please. Feeling tired these days.
There you go. Let's hope nobody steals it from you.
Very funny.
Goodbye, young man.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
Bloody joke to you, innit? Stupid trucks for the sick and suffering.
The Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your... problems. As long as you have
Do you feel any better now?
Yes, this neighborhood may stink of dog shit and reek of piss, but to me it smells like the purest mountain air.
Do you need medical attention?
Don't get me wrong, sir. I'm grateful for what you've done, but I've never felt comfortable with doctors.
I'm certain you have your reasons. But let me assure you, I'm not like other doctors you may have consulted with.
It is true. You risked your life to save me, after all. It would be impolite to refuse your counsel.
Mr. Thatcher, do you have a job?
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean. I was a soldier too.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Why were you locked in that sewer? What happened?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in, despite my claustrophobia.
Tell me about your claustrophobia.
That's what the bloody doctor said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it my own way.
Why did you run? What was the reason for your argument?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. Makes me feel like I'm suffocating.
Oswald, why did you not go to the Pembroke Hospital to seek medical help?
I don't trust doctors. All they care about was their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room again by anyone.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is fresh air.
Do you want to talk about what...
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is...
Well, Doctor, take a guess then, if you so...
When I rescued you, you expressed joy at seeing the sky again. So I'm inclined to believe you were trapped or buried somehow. Maybe during a shelling.
Jeez, you're good, Doc. You're really good.
Go on, please. Tell me more about it.
Newton and I were trapped in a circulation tunnel after an artillery attack. We were buried alive for several days without ever knowing if we'd be found.
Oswald, tell me about what happened when you were buried in that tunnel with Newton.
It was more than dark. It was black as pitch. Hours seemed like days, and days like months. Oh, the terror, the shameful thoughts. Lord have mercy.
Shameful thoughts? Tell me about them.
At some point, I don't remember which day, but when I thought we'd never be rescued, that this would be our end, I thought about...
Say it, Mr. Thatcher. If you ever want to heal, you have to say it.
Yeah, I thought about what I could do to survive. Just for a few more days. I thought about killing Newman. Killing and eating him. The man I fucking love.
What you endured was terrifying. It would have completely destroyed weaker men.
It did not destroy Newton.
Tell me about your true feelings for Newton.
I love him. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine life without him.
I admire your honesty. It takes courage to stand up to society. The world needs people like you to create change.
Courage is what we needed in the trenches, looking death in the face every day. I speak plain. I speak my mind.
Have you always been this straightforward?
All I know is, before you saved me by the sewer, my only regret was I wouldn't be able to hold or kiss Newton again. I love him, that's all.
Why should you be ashamed?
I'm not, I said. But Newton sees it differently.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself. Hello again, Mr. Blight. I'm happy to see Mr. Thatcher is safe for now.
I'm eternally grateful, Doctor. We were total strangers and you helped us anyway. Can't thank you enough, sir.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we're in the same boat to France. We've stuck together ever since.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you can talk him round.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
How did you survive for a week?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see. Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long.
Oswald seemed far more traumatized than you by the event.
It wasn't the first time it happened to me. Surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
How do you feel about Oswald Thatcher? You are more than friends, aren't you?
I love him. I love Oswald. We knew we wouldn't survive the war without each other. But I am terrified, Doctor.
What frightens you so much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know, I never thought I'd love a man.
I won't say a word, Mr. Blight. Your secret is safe with me.
I fought for my country and I survived. I saw my comrades die. And now society tells me I'm a criminal for who I love. It makes me so angry.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
They started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald, he found me and saved me.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself.
I've never seen so many people die at the same time.
Good evening, Mr. L.
Evening.
Goodbye.
Here we discuss every street corner. The daily routine.
Chances I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. Good evening, Doctor.
Your son wished to die, Beatrice. Why did you hide such crucial information?
Are you not aware suicide is a crime? Mortimer could be thrown in jail. I can't let that happen. I won't.
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly affects your son's case?
All my son needs is help and comprehension, not judgment and punishment for what he may or may not have done.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case. Shall we call this progress?
Call it what you want, Dr. Reed.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But I suppose she doesn't have to read it now.
I see. And is this letter still near the place where you tried to take your own life?
Yes. And I don't want anyone reading my last words. I mean, I'm still here. If you bring me back that letter, then perhaps we'll talk.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood. Goodbye for now. Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I have made inquiries about the men who were tracking you, Miss Howcroft.
I did not expect a mortal to have this sort of courage. Speak, Doctor. Why are they hunting me down?
There is no hunt, and nobody is searching for you. You're no threat to this hospital, and you have my word you are perfectly safe here.
Your lies demean you, Doctor. Do you really expect me to lower my guard? I know exactly who I am and what I am dealing with.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. The day.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital. That's Pembroke nowadays.
Do you need something, Jonathan?
I have met Lady Ashbury.
She's a fascinating woman, wouldn't you agree?
She told me you've been doing all in your power to cure her addiction for blood. Though unsuccessful, it's admirable.
Lady Ashbury is a cherished friend of mine. I would not betray her secrets without her consent. Come to the rescue of a damsel in distress. I ask nothing more.
I have just a few questions.
Then ask away. I'm at your service, Doctor.
We'll see each other again.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
When I get back, I'll have a word.
You had better return to Whitechapel with...
Safety isn't really an issue.
It's locked. It's locked, all right.
To all your problems, as long as you have the money.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now, goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to. It's locked. No one's there. It's locked, all right.
strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be for Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
This has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough cordial.
Imprisoned by your daily routine.
Good evening, Doctor. Can I help you?
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain Nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious, never goes out, doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No, except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter. I cannot enter.
Pay me a glass and I'll be gentle. Pay me a bottle and I'll be nasty.
Soon the time will come when you will all be
Angel-made flesh, I tell you.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you, for a start, my dear Doctor.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in the city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Yes, the enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir. Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much. And that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives? How she survives? Whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
In what way, exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles, and the added hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox. The stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
Did you know the mute florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious camellia.
I fear you are a hopeless romantic, Mr. Nethercourt.
Guilty as charged, Dr. Reed.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. Whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But, sorry, no, never heard of her.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
I'll leave you alone, sir. Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. Good evening, Mr. Nethercourt.
And good evening.
Do you need medical attention?
It may be wise to...
I understand your appetite for words and macabre beauty, sir. But you should be more careful.
The nutrition of my mind is more important than my physical health. But I appreciate your concern, sir.
I'll leave you alone. Hello again, miss. Tell me about Richard Nethercourt. I understand he is quite fond of you, Camellia. Very well. Goodbye, then.
Pay me a glass and I'll be gentle. Pay me a bottle and I'll be
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Mr. Petrescu, Just 1 minute, please.
You again. Go away.
Sir, wait. Stop this nonsense. I know Nurse Crane is here. Shall we speak man to man, you and I?
All right. Speak up.
Don't you see we're on the same side? We fight to help the poor, sick, and abandoned.
I'm nothing like you, Mr. Doctor.
Yes, you are. You too believe in providing medical care without charge. You know what we have to sacrifice to make the world a better place.
I have to admit your words have conviction. All right, I'll let you see, Dorothea. Don't make me regret this, though.
It's locked, all right. What do we have here, nurse?
Patient Raz Van Vasily. High fever running on 3 days. Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches, and head pain. Diagnosed with influenza.
Treatment?
Aspirin and salicin for the fever and discomfort. Liquids for dehydration, but he's having trouble keeping even water down.
Thank you, nurse. Anything else I should know?
He did lose consciousness this morning, but he's never had convulsions like these.
He's not convulsing, he's choking. He's not getting any air. Scalpel! Hand me that scalpel!
What can I do, Doctor?
It's too dangerous to operate with these convulsions. Sedative, nurse. Do we have any anesthetics?
I'm sorry, Doctor. None at all.
I need to perform a tracheostomy. Short pipe. That rubber tube will do. We're going to cut a passage for air through the neck.
Yes, Doctor. He's breathing again, but he's coughing up blood.
Internal hemorrhaging. I need to make another incision into the chest cavity to drain the fluids from the lung. Prepare another tube.
A thoracostomy? Doctor, we've nothing to fight the infection. We need an aseptic environment.
Right then, Nurse Crane. What do you suggest we do?
I've no idea. I'm not the doctor.
Time is of the essence. We need to perform a thoracic drain.
Yes, Doctor. He's still bleeding, Doctor. I'm losing his pulse.
The drain must have punctured the intercostal artery. There's too much blood.
Are you all right, Doctor?
I can't see. Yes. I have this, nurse. Allow me to finish the procedure alone. I need the room.
I'd prefer to stay and see this through. This is my patient, Doctor. I have needle and thread for stitching the wound.
Good. The stitches are holding. How's he doing?
We're losing him. We've lost his pulse. He's dying, Doctor!
Cardiac massage, now.
Cardiac... What? Are you making this up as you go along? We've lost the pulse. He's gone, Doctor.
Yes. We did everything we could.
Truly? Everything you could. Is that how you'll report this in your log? Is this how the war went? Piling up one poor corpse beside the next?
This was not an influenza-induced seizure. I've never seen symptoms like these on the continent.
Neither have I. But the previous symptoms leading up to this attack were the same, indistinguishable from the epidemic.
No. There was something more vile in these reactions. Something primitive.
There have been numerous reports of mental breakdowns caused by the fever that accompanies the flu itself, Doctor.
Yes, but... I'd best take some samples of the blood for analysis.
You're here to test my bedside manners.